Islamic scholars from the East and Andalusia have played an important role in developing various fields of the knowledge, which later become the rise of science and technologies in Western countries. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Najib bin Razak. In this video, my friend and me would like to share to all of you about one of the most popular scholars in Andalusia, which is Ibnu Tufail. So, stay tuned. So, before we go further, I would like to share to all of you about a quick review of Andalus. So, let's go.
Okay, my friend. Now let's take a look about a quick review of Andalus. Andalus. Andalus is the land that crosses the Iberian Peninsula across the border Spain and Portugal that emerged as the new world powers in the Middle Age with the fall of the Visigoth Empire and the ongoing rise of Islamic hegemony for almost 800 years. The province of Al-Andalus is one of the provinces that was once ruled by Islamic government for over 700 years. Military expedition led by Musa bin Nusair and Tariq bin Ziyad has been starting the point for the spread of Islam in the Iberian Peninsula. The spread of this holy religion was further strengthened by the existence of various Islamic governments in the region, starting from the time of the Umayyad Kingdom and ending with the Nasriyah Kingdom in Granada. However, in 1492, the position of the Islamic Kingdom in Andalus declined and ended after the Christian army conquered from that was led by Ferdinand and Isabella. Okay, now let's take a look about 6 phase about the Islamic government in Andalus. From phase 1, 711 until 745 is the beginning of the Islamic to spread the Islam to Spain. And now at that time, Spain has been changed the name to the Andalus. We go to the phase 2, starting from 755 until 192 AD. It was being ruled by Umayyad, under Umayyad Caliph. The government has been used title of Amir. So the first person that used this title is Abdul Rahman Ad-Dahir. We go to the phase 3 from 192 until 1013 AD, which is the end of the reign of the Umayyads era. At this time, it starts from the reign of Abdul Rahman III, which also called as Al-Nasir. And at the time, the government, the ruler of the Andalusia has been used the title of Caliph. We go to the next phase, phase 4, starting from 1013 until 1086 AD, which was the reign of Muluk al-Tawaif. So, what is Muluk al-Tawaif? Muluk al-Tawaif, it refers to the Andalusia at that time has been split into small countries. It has been divided into 30 small countries based in various cities such as Toledo, Cordoba, Sevilla, and many others. So at that time, Andalus has been separated into small countries. Next to the phase 5, from 1086 until 1248 is the reign of Murabitun and Muwahhidun dynasty. So in this kingdom, starting from Murabitun is starting from the 1086 until 1145. After that, the Muwahhidun kingdom starting from 1146 until 1235 AD. And lastly, in the Vedic, which is starting from 1248 until 1492. We call the end of the ruled Islam in Andalus. So that time, the Granada is only province that have been conquered by Islam. So the Nasrid Kingdom assimilate Granada, the government in Granada, and by Muhammad bin Yusuf, or better known as Ibnu Ahmad. And in 1492, Andalus has been conquered by Ferdinand and Isabella.
The flow of thought in philosophy during the Umayyad dynasty. The thought and words of Islam figures, especially in field of philosophy, are certainly very influenced by socio-cultural, cultural, and political conditions of the times, as well as the previous time. During the Umayyad power, the Middle Age, Islam was successful in Cordoba, Spain, at which time Cordoba became one of the center of world civilization. Intellectual activity in the field of philosophy and science received full attention during the caliphate of Al-Hakam Al-Muntasir Billah, the son of the first caliph Abdul Rahman ad-Dakil. At this time, it can also be said that the transmission of knowledge from east to west is well received, because after the establishment of the institution of knowledge, it's not enough to accommodate students anymore. The Muslim scholars in the west migrated to the east from Egypt, Syria, Hijaz to Baghdad to study. Al-Hakam is very fond of knowledge, so he is willing to bear the cost for the purpose of expedition to various countries. That is the main factor for the fond of Muslims to seek knowledge and depend the books of philosophy. Continue to the flow of thought in philosophy during the Umayyad. According to time, history says that this golden age does not last forever. After the reins of power was replaced by Al-Hakam's son, Hisham al-Mu'ayyid Billah, because he is more inclined to the knowledge of the Sharia and anti-falsafa. Eventually, intellectual activity was isolated again and philosophical teaching were again heretical. And then, although the situation is very unsupportive, the pursuit of philosophy is done in secret, until finally the establishment of the dynasty of Al-Muwahhidin were when the government was held by Abu Yaqub Yusuf al-Mansur, philosophy began to be better accepted. It was during this time that Ibnu Tufail lived by focusing on the field of philosophy. And lastly, society still considers philosophy as a heresy and contrary to Islam. In this undeductive situation, Ibn Tufail continued to dig his knowledge until his work Hayy Ibn Yaqzan was completed.
The biography of Ibn Tufail. Ibn Tufail, or his name is Abu Bakr Muhammad Ibn Abdul Malik Ibn Muhammad Ibn Tufail al-Qaisi. He also known as Abu Basir. He was born in 1110 at Guadix, Andalusia. Guadix is located near to the Granada, and at that time, Guadix has been ruled by the Muwahhidun Kingdom. He was died in 1185 at Marrakesh or Morocco. In his life, he was educated by Ibn Bajjah, which is one of the famous scholars at that time, or well known as Ibn Peace. He was born at Zaragoza in 1085 and died in 1138 at Fez, Morocco. Ibn Tufail have their famous work in their life, which is Hayy Ibn Yaqzan. What is Hayy Ibn Yaqzan? If you all want to know, you must watch this video until the end. Alright? So, let's move to the next slide. Next, Ibn Tufail can be said to be one of the most capable scientists in several fields. Among them are polymath, writer, novelist, Islamic philosopher, Islamic theologian, physician, astronomer, vizier, and court official. He also held several important positions in government administration. He once served as private secretary to the governor of Quetta and Tangier, and then he also served as secretary for the ruler of Granada, and later as a vizier and physician for Abu Yaqub Yusuf, the Almohad Caliph. The Almohad Caliph is referred to the Muwahhidun Kingdom or Muwahhidun Caliph. So Ibn Tufail had introduced Ibn Rushd to Abu Yaqub Yusuf in 1169, and from that Ibn Tufail has been recommended Ibn Rushd to Abu Yaqub Yusuf to comment on the work of Aristotle. Ibn Tufail was a man who adhered to logic in revealing the realities of nature and human life. Although he busy with his work, he also active in related society as well as government and state affairs.
In this section is divided into two parts. The first of which are some books that are mentioned but do not exist today. Secondly, the books that exist until now. Firstly, among some books by Ibn Tufail. This is first part. Abdul Wahid Al-Marakasi narrated. Ibn Tufail has narrated many books that have been written with his own hands in philosophy, psychology, and poetry. According to Ibn Khatib, there are two books in the medicine written by two of his students and presented to Ibn Tufail. Both books are said to be works of Ibn Tufail, entitled Kitab Al-Hay'ah by Al-Batruji and Fi Al-Buqa Al-Maskunah wa Al-Ghair Maskunah by Ibn Rushd. And then, while discussing the background of Ibn Rushd, Ibn Abi Usaybah mentioned that the name of book by Ibn Tufail is Fi Al-Buqa Al-Maskunah. Second part, Hayy Ibn Yaqzan, the only book Ibn Tufail has today. Although many scholars say that Ibn Tufail has written various books, but only one book is inherited to Muslim today. The book is Hayy Ibn Yaqzan. In fact, the book has a really long title, that is Hayy Ibn Yaqzan fi Asrari Hikmah Al-Mashriqiyah Istakhlasha min Durari Jawahiri Al-Fadil Rais Abi Ibn Sina Al-Imam Al-Faylasuf Al-Kamil Al-Arif Abi Ja'far Muhammad bin Tufail. Hayy Ibn Yaqzan means life of a conscious science, and the West is known as philosophers, although detectors has been written in the historical aspect as one of the most valuable works produced in the scope of philosophy. Through this book, Ibn Tufail tried to devise a system of philosophy based on development that exists in human beings. He tried to explain the question as well as the relationship between man, mind, and God. Continue to second part, Hayy Ibn Yaqzan the book that exists until now. Additionally, he has used the character of Hai ibn Yaqzan, who lives on an island in Katulistiwa, as a depiction of his writing. The depiction of this character has some mixing of important elements in life, namely hot, cool, dry, wet, and ground. Ibnu Tufail tried using the analogy of the character in his book is considered an extraordinary thing in writing a philosophical work. With high character, Ibnu Tufail succeeded in making an interesting description, subsequently helping to understand his philosophical thinking. And then this book also contains Ibnu Tufail observation on metaphysics, mathematics, physics, and so on. Ibnu Tufail lived almost the same time as Ibnu Bajjah. Ibnu Bajjah is the teacher of Ibnu Tufail. Hence, is easily accepted the philosophical views of Ibnu Bajjah, Al-Farabi, and several other Islamic philosophers. According to some researchers and thinkers, Ibnu Tufail was greatly influenced by philosophy of Ibnu Bajjah, as it can be noted that in the middle of the book Hai ibn Yaqzan carry many ideas found in the book Al-Mutawahhid. Al-Mutawahhid is philosophical book from Ibnu Bajjah, which contains the defense of the writing of Al-Farabi and Ibn Sina. However, Ibnu Tufail did not accept all this idea wholeheartedly until after being critically debated.
Hai ibn Yaqzan is a book from Ibn Tufail. Hai is a character in this book. Basically, this book tells us about journey of Hai in finding God. Hai is a child that growing up in islands without his parent guidance, without culture, without language. The journey begins when his mother died. His mother in this book is a deer, an animal. When his mother died, he realized that there is another power existed around him, but he didn't see. Start from there, he starts to questioning himself, finding an answer to his question. And from the question itself, he able to find God. So Ibn Tufail believed that he could explain the truth of God by using this fiction method or tamsil method. From this book, we can learn about the growth pace of human intellect. Second, categories of human and the sources of knowledge. 3. Models and strategies of Islamic education.
The growth pace of human intellect. First, childhood. At this time, the human mind did not function perfectly. Humans only have basic instincts such as the need to eat, drink, love, and feel safe, and so on. Second, the Mumayyiz period. At this time, according to this book, at this time, Hai began to cover his body with the leaf he had. He also began to understand the need for weapon as a means of self-protection. Third, stepping on puberty. According to Ibn Tufail, at this time, Aqal began to develop in a more complex direction. At the age of puberty, Hai began to think about the nature of death when she saw her mother die. For him, death is a separation of the spirit as the rider of the body, not because of the organ's failure. Fourth, adulthood and self-awareness. At this time, humans also like to show knowledge they have acquired. The correct opinion is believed not to be shaken easily. This was shown when Hai succeeded in classifying objects as well when argue with another people about the wisdom of revelation. Fifth, old age.
Humans have started to feel enough to think about themselves and have an adventure. During this time, people begin to need calm and contemplation. This period, according to this book, Hai and his friend return to the island to contemplate when their movement to preach the neighbor island is failed. Categories of human and sources of knowledge. Through this book, it can be seen that human consists of three groups. First, the common people. This group of human is represented by a group of people living on a neighboring island. Knowledge is knowledge based on customs. The lay group this group can accept the higher human group way of thinking. Second, the human group with logical knowledge. This kind of group was represented by Hai itself. Know the essence and truth of everything, including knowing God. Third, human beings with kashaf knowledge, represented by character named as Asal. Kashaf knowledge is obtained as a result of spiritual contemplation, which is always trained to achieve ultimate truth. This kind of thinking not understood by ordinary group of people and human with logical knowledge. From these three groups, it can be concluded that from these three groups of people, it can be seen that humans have three types sources of knowledge. First, this path can be seen through this book by High Behavior, who always pays attention to his differences with the animals around him. When he saw an animal that had sensory path either by way of observation or trial and error. This path can be inferred from behavior of Hai, who always pay attention to her differences with the animals around him. Second, the path of rational contemplation. The sensory path is limited to empirical disclosure. Meanwhile, to uncover the secrets behind empirical matters, rational reflection or philosophical thinking is required. This knowledge began to be obtained by humans from the beginning of adulthood. From the results of contemplation, Hai found the figure of God who created the universe and its contents. Third, the path of intuition. It contrasts to Hai, who was able to find God by rational contemplation. Asal, the character in this book, found God by means of intuition or kashaf. This path was followed by Hai at the end of his life to get know God more closely. In this inner contemplation, he knows God more than the knowledge he gets from rational contemplation.
So what models and strategies that we can learn from this book from Ibnu Tufail works? Ibnu Tufail's learning model is close to a scientific approach. Learning is done by observing, raising questions in the form hypothesis, collecting information, analyzing information, then drawing conclusion. And then Ibnu Tufail wanted a portion of the material and a method that was suitable with the student's capabilities. The learning model that has been mentioned cannot be applied to all human groups. According to this book, in the end of the story, Hai and his friend tried to preach to the neighbor islands, but they failed to approach them because what Hai and his friend deliver cannot be accepted by the common people in that neighbor island.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's move to contribution of Ibnu Tufail. There are many works of Ibnu Tufail in many aspects, such as in medicine, astronomy, literature, philosophy, and also mathematics. In his lifetime, Ibnu Tufail has been as physician. Ibnu Tufail was a personal physician to administrator of Al-Muwahhidin, which is Abu Yaqub Yusuf Al-Mansur, who is the second Moroccan caliph at Muwahhidun dynasty. Ibnu Tufail also as vizier to the Caliph during his lifetime. Ibnu Tufail was appointed as a minister and also known as politician that have been respected by the government. Because of his diligence and determination attitude, he made him as the personal doctor of the governor and secretary for 2 provinces, which is Sabtah and Tani'ah. After retiring from the minister, he was replaced by his students, which is Ibn Rushd. Next, we look to Ibn Tufail expertise in astronomy. Theories of Ibn Tufail were briefly drawn by Leon Goethe, who is a French Orientalist. From the works of Ibn Tufail, Leon Goethe got that Ibn Tufail did not agree with the theory of the planetary system that laid down by Ptolemyus. According to Leon Goethe, with his research about Ibn Tufail, that Ibn Tufail has new theory about the planetary system. This also reinforced by Ibn Rushd's statement that Ibn Tufail has sensational theories about the planetary system and the basic of each of its rotation. For Ibn Tufail as a writer and a poet, there are 2 works that famous by Ibn Tufail that still exist, which is named with Risalah Ibn Yaqzan and also Nasakh Asrar al-Hikmah al-Masriqiyah. Beside that, according to Ibn Khatib, there are 2 books in field of medicine that might be the work of Ibn Tufail, written by his 2 students, which is Kitab Al-Hay'ah by Al-Batruji, his student, and the others is Fi Al-Buqa Al-Maskunah wal Al-Ghayr Al-Maskunah by Ibn Rushd. Writing works of Ibn Tufail. In writing works of Ibn Tufail, there are special characteristic in his writing. First, we look at his writing. They are concise with incorporating Islamic element through his works. Second, he practicing every knowledge that he got along his life. The knowledge that he gains will be practiced to worship to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Thirdly, sometimes he will write all his knowledge, although he was busy within his career as a doctor. He find his free time to write his works. So, next we look to Ibn Tufail philosophical thinking. There are 5 philosophical thinking of Ibn Tufail. First, we look philosophy about the world. For your information, Ibn Tufail didn't accept any teaching of his rivals and also didn't try to reconcile them. He criticized Aristotle's followers and their theological attitudes. The eternity of these worlds involves with the concept of infinite existence, which is less impossible than the idea of infinite span. The existence is inseparable with created events and therefore cannot precede them in terms of time, and that cannot be as before the events and that are created must be created later. Next, philosophy about God. Ibn Tufail made the distinction between permanent essence and permanent time. He believed that God existed before the existence of the world, in terms of essence, but not on terms of time. Next, for philosophy about the cosmology of the light. Ibn Tufail accepted the principle that from one there is nothing but that one. manifestation of pluralism, the existence from one is described in a dull new Platonic style as successive stages of transmission emanating from the light of God. The process is basically similar to the continuous reflection of sunlight on the mirror. Epistemology of knowledge. Ibnu Tufail finally turned to the discipline of the soul which brought to ecstasy. The ecstasy means the highest source of knowledge. At this stage, truth is no longer achieved through process of deduction or induction, but can be seen directly through the light contained in our soul. The soul becomes self-aware and experiences something that eye has never seen, or ears never heard and felt in heart of anyone. And last, for Ibnu Tufail, philosophical thinking, ethics or moral. Ibnu Tufail believed that celestial beings have animals' souls and are immersed in endless meditation on God. Finally, he needs to fulfill himself with positive and negative attributes of God, like knowledge, power, wisdom, freedom from physical desires and others. Makes an obligation for the sake of others and for the sake of his God is one of the important disciplines of the soul. The last duty is end of the self, to mention earlier, lead to its manifestation in the vision of God's grace and also vision in become similar to the essence of God. From this philosophical thinking of Ibnu Tufail, we conclude that his philosophy is very deep and take time to understand his philosophy, and his philosophy is new knowledge to us to learn.